Beneath the flicker of black and white film and the glow of early Technicolor, shadows gather, hearts race, and destinies collide. What secrets hide in the eyes of rivals as they step onto windswept plains or candlelit halls, weapons drawn and honor on the line? Tonight we unlock the vault of the 1940s to reveal cinema's most electrifying duels, the showdowns that changed movies, and perhaps changed everything. Number 21. The Three Musketeers, 1948. Every generation gets its own musketeers, but in 1948, Hollywood delivered a Technicolor swashbuckling spectacle that raised the bar for fencing on film. Gene Kelly's athletic D'Artagnan, all smiles and acrobatics, faces off against Vincent Price's calculating Cardinal Richelieu in a duel that is as much about intellect as it is about steel. The climactic showdown doesn't take place in a windswept field or on a castle parapet, but amid the lush, candle-lit halls of old France. Kelly, known mostly for his dancing, turns his talent to swordplay, leaping, dodging, and feinting with a kind of ballet energy that keeps the audience guessing. Vincent Price, in one of his finest villainous roles, brings a snake-like menace to Richelieu, manipulating not just swords, but the fate of an entire nation. What sets this duel apart isn't just the choreography, though the swordplay is as crisp and elegant as any ballet, but the layers of subtext. This is the moment when loyalty, love, and ambition collide. The stakes are more than life or death. They're about honor, the weight of history, and the will to shape destiny with the point of a blade. The camera lingers on Kelly's eyes, wide and determined, then cuts to Price, cold and calculating as steel clashes and sparks fly. In that moment, the old-school action is alive and well. No tricks, no shortcuts, just actors and swords, daring to outwit, outlast, and outfight in the most classic sense. It's a duel that defines not only a film, but an entire era of Hollywood heroics. Number 20. The Big Sleep, 1946. Noir never felt more dangerous than in The Big Sleep, a labyrinth of double crosses and smoky mysteries. But beneath all the code and glamour, there's a standoff that electrifies the genre. Humphrey Bogart's Philip Marlowe faces Elisha Cook Jr.'s unlucky Gunsel in a duel that's more about nerve than firepower. It's not a classic high-noon shootout. It's a duel fought in shadows, words loaded with as much impact as bullets. In a rain-soaked alley or a dim-lit room, tension builds with every glance, every pause. Bogart's Marlowe, all cool confidence and world-weary wit, circles his adversary with verbal jabs, never blinking, never backing down. Elisha Cook Jr., smaller and twitchier, exudes a desperate kind of menace. He's the kind of character who knows he's outmatched, but has nothing to lose. The room feels claustrophobic, the stakes are sky-high, and when the moment comes, the gunfire is almost an afterthought. It's the battle of minds first, then of reflexes, a duel where the real weapons are suspicion and bravado. The genius of this scene is how it distills the very essence of film noir into a single moment. Trust no one, read between the lines, and know that danger lurks in every shadow. The Big Sleep teaches us that in the world of old-school action, sometimes the sharpest duels are fought without ever drawing a weapon. Number 19. Gilda, 1946. Sometimes the greatest duels aren't fought with fists or blades, but with hearts. And Gilda delivers a battle of passion and power that still sizzles nearly 8 decades later. Rita Hayworth's iconic turn as Gilda is a masterclass in allure, vulnerability, and controlled chaos. Glenn Ford, playing Johnny Farrell, is her match in every way, their relationship a powder keg of longing, resentment, and unspoken history. The duel here plays out in glances, in words left unsaid, in a dance of desire that's as dangerous as any gunfight. Every encounter between Gilda and Johnny is electric. Hayworth's every gesture, both invitation and warning. Ford's every word a veiled challenge. The infamous glove striptease isn't just an act of seduction. It's a gauntlet thrown, an assertion of control in a world determined to keep her boxed in. Glenn Ford's steely reserve and simmering jealousy make him both captor and captive, locked in a battle of wills with a woman he can neither possess nor forget. The film's climax doesn't need bullets or swords. It's the moment when truth is laid bare, when masks fall, and both combatants must choose between destruction and redemption. Gilda remains proof that in classic Hollywood, some of the fiercest duels happen in the space between two people, their hearts as deadly as any weapon. Number 18. Notorious, 1946. Alfred Hitchcock's Notorious is a spy thriller disguised as a love story, or maybe the other way around. At its heart is a duel as cold as it is elegant. Cary Grant's T.R. Devlin and Claude Rains' Alexander Sebastian are locked in a silent war for the soul of Ingrid Bergman's Alicia Huberman. The weapons here are trust and suspicion, love and betrayal, each glance a feint, each touch a test. Grant brings his trademark suave exterior, but beneath, he's a man tormented by duty and desire. Claude Rains is the perfect foil, soft-spoken, urbane, and quietly menacing, hiding a desperate need for control beneath every smile. Their confrontations play out over dinner tables, in drawing rooms thick with unspoken tension, the air crackling with the threat of exposure. When the final confrontation comes, Grant rescuing Bergman from the house where Rains and his conspirators plan to let her die. The duel is as much about courage as it is about cunning. Hitchcock draws out every moment using close-ups and silence to let the audience feel the claustrophobia of espionage, the stakes of trust betrayed. Notorious proves that the greatest duels sometimes play out not in the open, but in the shadows, where the only way out is to outthink, outlast, and outlove your enemy. Number 17. The Spiral Staircase, 1946. In the world of psychological thrillers, The Spiral Staircase stands as a haunting masterclass in suspense. Dorothy Maguire's mute heroine, Helen, is trapped in a house where a killer stalks women with disabilities. The duel here is not just for survival, but for identity, for the right to exist in a world that preys on the vulnerable. George Brent, playing the chillingly calm Professor Warren, becomes the embodiment of everyday evil, seemingly rational, even charming, until the mask slips and his true intentions are revealed. The climactic confrontation takes place amid thunder and shadows, as Helen, stripped of voice but not of will, must outwit and outmaneuver her tormentor on a twisting staircase. Every creak, every shadow, every flicker of candlelight is loaded with dread. The duel is as much with the house itself, its secrets, its locked doors, its echoing halls, as with the villain. In those final moments, courage finds a way to speak, even in silence. The Spiral Staircase is a testament to the power of old-school action, where the true weapon is the will to survive, and the victory is claimed by those who refuse to be victims, even when the odds are stacked against them. Number 16. Mildred Pierce, 1945. If there's one thing Mildred Pierce makes clear, it's that some of the most vicious duels are fought not in alleys or battlefields, but at the dinner table between mother and daughter. Joan Crawford's Mildred is the definition of a survivor, tough, resourceful, and driven by an unbreakable love for her ungrateful daughter, Veda, played with venomous charm by Anne Blyth. Their battles are epic in scope and scale, words wielded like daggers, glances sharper than any blade. The tension crackles every time they share the screen, with Crawford's simmering heartbreak matched beat for beat by Blyth's icy cruelty. The duel comes to a head when love curdles into resentment and protection becomes possession. As secrets unravel and ambitions clash, the film builds to a showdown that's as emotionally devastating as any physical fight. In the end, it's the words left unsaid, the longing, the regret, the wounds that never quite heal, that make this one of cinema's most unforgettable duels. Mildred Pierce proves that old-school action isn't always about guns or fists. Sometimes it's about the courage to let go, and the pain of realizing you never really can. Number 15. Leave Her to Heaven, 1945. There are duels, and then there are the slow-burn psychological battles that leave scars deeper than any blade. Leave Her to Heaven is one of those rare films where obsession itself is the weapon, and Jean Tierney's Ellen Barrett is its master. Her beauty is a mask for a deadly resolve. When she loves to the exclusion of all else. And Cornell Wilde's Richard Harland finds himself trapped in a web he never saw coming. The duel here is a chilling contest of wills. Ellen's suffocating love versus Richard's desperate attempts to reclaim his freedom. The most famous confrontation, a drowning scene on a sunlit lake, is filmed with a serene menace. Tierney's ice-cold gaze is more terrifying than any gun barrel. As the film spirals toward tragedy, every gesture, every word becomes a move in their deadly game. Leave Her to Heaven is a Technicolor nightmare, a reminder that the most unforgettable duels sometimes happen behind closed doors, where love turns lethal and the line between devotion and destruction is razor thin. Number 14. The Woman in the Window, 1944. Film noir is built on moral ambiguity, and The Woman in the Window turns that ambiguity into a battle royale. Edward G. Robinson's mild-mannered professor finds himself drawn into a web of blackmail and murder, with Raymond Massey's relentless DA on his trail. Their duel is fought not with guns, but with intellect and desperation, each man circling the other in a game of cat and mouse where the stakes are nothing less than survival. Robinson, usually cast as a gangster, is here a man out of his depth, clinging to reason as his world unravels. Massey is all righteous fury, his determination to see justice done blinding him to the truth. The climactic confrontation, by turns suspenseful, tragic, and almost surreal, forces both men to confront their own limits, their own darkness. The Woman in the Window is a noir duel par excellence, a reminder that in the world of old-school action, the deadliest weapons are often the ones you can't see. Number 13. To Have and Have Not, 1944. Have you ever been stung by a dead bee? The question echoes through To Have and Have Not, a film that turns wartime intrigue into a playground for duels both romantic and deadly. Humphrey Bogart's Steve Morgan is the quintessential reluctant hero, drawn into the fight by loyalty, love, and a deep sense of right and wrong. Dan Seymour's Captain Renard is his opposite, a man who wields power with ruthless efficiency. Their duel is layered, on the surface, a series of cat-and-mouse exchanges in the sultry shadows of Vichy-controlled Martinique. Beneath, a battle for the soul of the island itself. Each conversation is a chess move, each threat a test of resolve. Bogart's calm, clipped delivery masks a constant readiness for violence. Seymour's oily menace is the perfect counterpoint. The final confrontation, a tense standoff in a hotel lobby thick with danger, is a masterclass in old-school action, quick, decisive, and utterly unforgettable. Number 12. Lifeboat, 1944. There's nowhere to run in Hitchcock's Lifeboat, and that makes its duel all the more claustrophobic. A group of shipwreck survivors, led by Tallulah Bankhead's acid-tongued journalist, are stranded in the North Atlantic with a Nazi officer, played with chilling calm by Walter Slezak. The battle here is for survival, but it's also a war of ideology, of trust and betrayal. As supplies dwindle and tempers flare, every word becomes a weapon, every alliance a potential death sentence. Slezak's character, seemingly helpful at first, gradually reveals a cold-blooded cunning that turns the lifeboat into a floating battleground. The group's struggle to maintain their humanity in the face of fear is as gripping as any shootout. When the final confrontation comes, it's raw, desperate, and real, the kind of old-school action that leaves everyone changed. Lifeboat is proof that sometimes the greatest duels happen in the smallest spaces, and that survival is the ultimate victory. Number 11. Jane Eyre, 1943. You might not expect a duel in a Gothic romance, but in Jane Eyre, fate itself becomes the antagonist. Orson Welles' Edward Rochester battles not just the flames that threaten to consume his home, but the demons of his own past. The fire scene is shot like an action sequence, smoke billowing, beams crashing, every frame a study in chaos and courage. Rochester's fight to save Jane, to atone for his secrets, is a duel with destiny. The house is both battlefield and adversary, the flames as relentless as any swordsman. Every second is a test of will, of sacrifice, of the power of love to overcome even the most devastating odds. When the smoke clears, what's left is not just a man scarred, but a love that has proven itself in the crucible of fire. Jane Eyre transforms the domestic into the epic, reminding us that sometimes the fiercest duels are the ones we fight for the people we love. Number 10. Phantom of the Opera, 1943. Few duels are as operatic, literally and figuratively, as the climactic battle in Phantom of the Opera. Claude Rains' tragic, masked genius haunts the catacombs beneath the Paris Opera, driven by love and madness. Nelson Eddy's heroic baritone must descend into the darkness, risking everything to save Christine from the Phantom's grasp. The duel is a swirling ballet of shadows and music, blades flashing in torchlight, the opera house itself trembling with the force of their conflict. Rains' Phantom, both monstrous and pitiable, is a force of nature, every gesture infused with desperation, every note with heartbreak. Eddy's Raoul is the archetypal hero, courageous and unyielding. Their confrontation is as much about mercy as it is about victory. Every blow carries the weight of tragedy, every near miss a brush with damnation. In the end, it's not the sword, but compassion that triumphs as the Phantom's mask falls and his humanity is revealed. Phantom of the Opera is a duel for the ages, grand, passionate, and unforgettable. Number 9. The Oxbow Incident, 1943. Justice is often a duel with the soul, and in The Oxbow Incident, that battle takes center stage. Henry Fonda's Gil Carter finds himself swept up in a lynch mob, the line between right and wrong blurring with every passing minute. The duel here is psychological, a lone voice of reason against the roar of the crowd. Fonda's quiet dignity is pitted against the mob's mounting hysteria, each argument a shot fired, each pleading a desperate parry. The suspense is unbearable, the moral stakes higher than any gunfight. As the mob closes in on its prey, Fonda's character is forced to confront his own fears, his own capacity for violence. The film's climax, harrowing, heartbreaking, and utterly uncompromising, lays bare the cost of justice denied, of conscience ignored. The Oxbow Incident is a reminder that some of the greatest duels are fought not with weapons, but with words, and that the hardest battles are the ones within ourselves. Number 8. The Magnificent Ambersons, 1942. Family dynasties rise and fall, not with a bang, but with a whispered argument, a shattered dream, a final cutting remark. In Orson Welles's The Magnificent Ambersons, the duel is between Joseph Cotton's Eugene Morgan and Tim Holt's George Amberson Minafer. A contest of old money versus new ideas, of pride against progress. Their encounters are brimming with tension, every conversation a skirmish in the war for the future. Cotton's Eugene is all gentle wisdom and understated strength. Holt's George is reckless, stubborn, and tragically blind to the changes sweeping through his world. Their duel plays out over tea tables and in shadowy hallways, but the wounds they inflict run deep. By the end, victory is measured not in triumph, but in survival, in the hard-won lessons that come from losing everything. The Magnificent Ambersons is a different kind of action, a reminder that progress itself can be the most implacable adversary of all. Number 7. Saboteur, 1942. Few films blend suspense and spectacle as masterfully as Hitchcock's Saboteur. The duel at its heart is both literal and symbolic, a showdown atop the Statue of Liberty, the fate of a nation hanging in the balance. Robert Cummings's everyman hero is matched against Norman Lloyd's ruthless saboteur, each step on the monument's narrow arm a test of courage and cunning. Hitchcock milks the vertigo for all it's worth, the camera swooping and tilting, every second stretching the nerves to the breaking point. The duel isn't just about stopping a villain. It's about reclaiming hope, about standing tall when everything conspires to bring you down. The final struggle, with fingers clutching for purchase on the statue's torch, is old school action at its finest, raw, tense, and utterly unforgettable. Number 6. The Black Swan, 1942. If pirates had a code, The Black Swan would be their Bible. Tyrone Power's Jamie Waring and George Sanders' Lord Denby cross swords in a technicolor spectacle that turns every frame into a painting. The duel is pure cinematic joy. Power's swagger and athleticism pitted against Sanders' sardonic cool. The clashing blades are almost an afterthought. The real battle is for pride, for freedom, for the thrill of the fight. The choreography is fast and furious, every movement a dare, every parry a taunt. The duel is as much about the smiles as the snarls, about the sheer joy of adventure. In the end, victory goes to the one who wants it most, the one who refuses to back down, even when the odds seem impossible. The Black Swan is a masterclass in old-school action, a reminder that sometimes the greatest duels are fought not for survival, but for the love of the game. Number 5. The Sea Wolf, 1941. Adventure on the high seas has never been more brutal or more riveting than in The Sea Wolf. Edward G. Robinson's Wolf Larson, a captain as ruthless as the ocean itself, finds his match in John Garfield's defiant George Leach. Their duel is one of intellect as much as muscle, a battle for the soul of the ship, for the right to shape destiny amid storm and strife. The claustrophobic cabins, the howling wind, the ever-present threat of mutiny all become part of the duel. Every word a blow, every glance a challenge. Robinson's performance is a force of nature, charisma edged with cruelty, while Garfield's stubborn hope refuses to be extinguished. The climax, as the two men face off in the ship's bowels, is shot with a ferocity that leaves no room for compromise. The Sea Wolf reminds us that sometimes the fiercest action comes not from the clash of swords or the crack of pistols, but from the unbreakable will to survive against impossible odds. Number 4. The Corsican Brothers, 1941. Swashbuckling is in the blood of the Corsican brothers, and nowhere is that clearer than in the duel between Douglas Fairbanks Jr. and Akim Tamaroff. The film's central conceit, twin brothers avenging their family, turns every confrontation into a question of identity, of loyalty, of fate. Fairbanks, carrying the legacy of his legendary father, brings a fluid athleticism to the swordplay, every move a tribute to classic Hollywood adventure. Tamaroff's villain is equal parts charm and menace, making every duel as much a battle of wits as of blades. The settings are grand, castle halls, moonlit forests, the kind of places where legends are born. The action is kinetic, the stakes personal, the outcome never certain. In the final confrontation, honor and vengeance are weighed in the balance, and the winner is the one who dares to fight for both. The Corsican Brothers is old-school action distilled to its purest form, a story where every duel is a dance and every cut is a promise kept. Number 3. The Mark of Zorro, 1940. There are sword fights, and then there is the duel at the heart of The Mark of Zorro, a scene that set the standard for cinematic swashbuckling for generations to come. Tyrone Power, in his prime, embodies the wit and agility of Zorro, while Basil Rathbone, a real-life fencing master, makes for a villain as elegant as he is deadly. Their climactic duel is a masterclass in pacing, in tension, in pure athleticism. The blades flash in the moonlight, every clang and scrape a heartbeat. The dialogue is as sharp as the swords, barbs traded as easily as blows, wit cutting as deep as steel. The choreography, meticulously crafted, elevates the fight into art, every movement telling a story of courage, cunning, and justice. The duel isn't just about who's fastest or strongest. It's about who has the heart to stand up for what's right. The Mark of Zorro isn't just a movie. It's a blueprint for heroism, and its climactic duel remains the gold standard for old-school action. Number 2. The Seahawk, 1940. Errol Flynn's name is synonymous with adventure, and The Seahawk is the film that made that legend. The duel between Flynn's Captain Geoffrey Thorpe and Henry Daniels' Lord Wolfingham is the stuff of Hollywood myth. Good versus evil, freedom versus tyranny, played out with rapiers in a shadowy throne room. Flynn, all swagger and charm, moves like a force of nature. Danielle, icy and unyielding, is his perfect foil. The stakes are the fate of nations, the freedom of the seas, and the honor of the crown. The duel is a symphony of movement, leaps, lunges, ripostes, each one more daring than the last. Flynn's laughter echoes through the hall, every parry a promise, every thrust a declaration. When the dust settles, it's not just a villain who lies defeated, it's the old order itself, swept aside by the courage of one man who refused to back down. The Seahawk is more than a movie. It's a celebration of old-school action at its most exhilarating, a reminder that sometimes the greatest duels are fought not for glory, but for the soul of the world. Number 1. They Died with Their Boots On, 1941. And at number 1, we ride out onto the windswept plains of history, where legend and reality collide in They Died with Their Boots On. Errol Flynn returns, this time as General George Custer, locked in a battle not just against enemies on the battlefield, but against fate itself. The duel at the heart of this epic isn't just one man against another. It's a cavalry charge, a test of courage and strategy under the open sky, thunderous hooves echoing across the American West. Flynn's Custer is both bold and haunted, a man chasing glory while wrestling with doubt. And the showdown that unfolds is as much about leadership as it is about sword or pistol. In the chaos of battle, friends become foes, the line between heroism and hubris blurs, and every decision carries the weight of destiny. The choreography of the cavalry duel is breathtaking, swords flashing, horses rearing, the camera sweeping through clouds of dust as men risk everything for country, comrades, and legacy. But what truly sets this duel apart is its sense of inevitability, the knowledge that some fights are unwinnable, and that honor sometimes means riding headlong into history, no matter the cost. In the final, thunderous moments, as Custer and his men make their last stand, the screen is filled with both triumph and tragedy, a salute to old-school action at its grandest and most poignant. They Died with Their Boots On is more than a war film. It's the story of every person who ever faced impossible odds and fought on anyway. And that's why this cavalry duel rides tall as the greatest movie showdown of the 1940s. Because it reminds us that courage, loyalty, and sacrifice are the true heart of old-school action. There you have it, the 21 greatest movie duels of the 1940s, each one a masterclass in suspense, skill, and cinematic style. Did your favorite make the list? Or did we miss a classic duel you'll never forget? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts and memories. If you enjoyed this countdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more journeys into movie history and legendary action. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next showdown.